You're watching NewsX. The EAC released a recent study on global demographic trends that revealed significant shifts in religious demographics over 65 years from 1950 to 2015. Globally, the majority religious denominations share decreased by around 22%. India experienced a notable decrease of 7.8% in its majority religious group, Hindus, while Nepal also saw a decline. However, Sri Lanka and Bhutan witnessed an increase in their majority religious denominations. Specifically, the Hindu population in India decreased by 7.82% during this period of 65 years. India recorded one of the largest declines in majority population, surpassed only by Myanmar, interestingly. India saw increases in the shares of Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, and some other populations. Additionally, the study highlights the lack of clear definitions for minority populations in some countries. The study also discusses concerns and dynamics surrounding Hindu-Muslim demographics, but the pressing question still remains, and we're going to ask those questions. Number one, do Hindus fear becoming a minority in India in the distant future? Number two, why do Islamic countries have a poor track record on minorities, including Islamic minorities? Number three, are attempts to deny or ignore persecution of Hindus and destruction of temples during Islamic rule, perpetuating lack of closure. Number four, are Hindus now willing to understand, acknowledge and address concerns of Indian Muslims? And number five, do talks of Ram Rajya exacerbate Muslim concerns? And if so, what must be done to address this? We'll talk about this with our guest. Mr. Deshratan Nigam, political analyst, joins us on the show. Mr. Sandeep Chandra, political analyst, also with me in the studio. Yuvraj Pokharna, columnist, also joins us on the broadcast. Mr. Nigam, I'll begin with you. First up, the opposition has completely squatted this report. Asaduddin Owaisi has gone on to say that this is straight out of the WhatsApp University. In fact, a number of BJP leaders have gone on to say that this report is, shedding some sort of a catharsis on what has been happening for the past 70 odd years. What do you make of this study? And, the number one point that I made in my monologue was also that is there a fear in the Hindu population that at some distant point, maybe by 2050, 2060 or what have you, the Hindu religion could be a minority in India?
Well, let me, Vineet, this report is very startling and does point towards the decreasing number of Hindus, almost by 8% since 1950, and the corresponding increase of 43% of Muslims in India. Therefore, it clearly appears that Muslims have got a very conducive environment to multiply, grow and progress within the Constitution of India. And Constitution of India provides them better rights as compared to the majority. As we have seen that the Hindus cannot teach their scriptures or religion in government-funded or government-aided or government schools or colleges, whereas the Muslims can. And at the same time, the temples can be controlled by the state, and huge number of famous temples are under the control of the state, whereas the Muslims or the minorities institutions are not under the control. These are incentives and disincentives. Now, if a Hindu sees they cannot even teach their religion in their own schools, then there is a disincentive for them. And the fertility rate of Hindus is somewhere about 1.9% now. And except the few states like UP and Bihar, where there is a high fertility rate, it's quite abysmal in southern states also. And therefore, the situation is quite alarming. And Muslims' fertility rate is somewhere near 3%, slightly less than 3%. So 2.1% is the replacement rate of fertility, and Hindus have gone down below that. So this is an alarming state, and if this continues, although Hindus have awakened, Hindus have started, taking situation in their own hand and are now demanding that corrections and the imbalance in the Constitution be rectified and corrected. And so if that awakening has taken place, I believe it will be very difficult to have Hindus as a minority in this country. And that awakening we are seeing in this country. And if you look at the entire situation, the illegal immigration is from the Bangladesh side and to some extent from Maldives, we have seen in Kerala, is contributing towards this imbalance. And at the same time, you have the appeasement environment for the last 70 years that was there, it has decreased now. And the fertile ground for the fertility of Muslims, mostly Muslims, is also a matter of concern. That's a spermic reason. And the appeasement that we have seen during the Congress side, that the first right that they have over the resources, and all those have resulted into and have encouraged them to have more children. And these more children are being benefiting through the government schemes, huge number of governments. You take any schemes where the disproportionate benefits have gone to the Muslims as compared to the population that they have in India. And that helps them to, raise their children and whatever be their living standard. And we have seen huge amount of social media videos where they are saying it is time that we should be asserting ourselves and take over. The concept of a Ghazwa-e-Hind is still alive, and a historical fact that nobody would deny that the Congress was responsible for division of this country on Hindu-Muslim basis. And when the Muslims were moving out of this country, Nehru entered into a pact with Liaquat, which is known as Nehru-Liaquat Pact. And 1971, we had Indira Mujib Pact, when crores of people came into India from Bangladesh, and they were all stayed back. So those are the imbalances and the historical mistakes that have been done. It has to be rectified. This needs to be rectified. For Indians, whether they are Muslims, all illegal immigrants have to go away from here, whether they're children. And that somewhere down the line, we have to be very strict about it. Otherwise, we'll see, despite all this, we somehow have been able to maintain the semblance of a modicum of decency, discipline, despite riots taking place here and there. And
Right, sir.
otherwise, we will be going on the Europe's way, where London, Stockholm, and so many cities where the population of immigrants have crossed the natural population of those cities.
Absolutely
And
right,
we
sir.
have to be very, very careful at this point of time.
Mr. Chandra, where do you stand on this? How is this becoming, a political discourse also in the middle of a very well-defined and protracted election campaign as well? Of course, both the parties are using this report, to further their rhetoric and narrative. But the fact of the matter is that India is the only Hindu country which is available for Hindus.
Vinitji, you asked a very pertinent question, and you have really nailed the whole issue by asking this question. You see, my take is this. I'm reminded of a saying, तारीख ने देखी है ऐसी भी कुछ चंद घड़ियां, लम्हों ने खता की और सदियों ने सजा पाई. You see, this genesis of this problem lies when our country got independence, and had Sardar Patel not been denied, the position of prime ministership, this wouldn't have happened. And over the years, I accused the Congress of practicing pseudo-secularism. What is pseudo-secularism? Pseudo-secularism is this, that you are appeasing the minorities at the cost of majority interests. It took Mr. Modi and the BJP to practice real secularism, and that is fine upliftment of minorities, but not at the cost of the majorities. And I would like to, expand the context by saying that I salute the state of Gujarat for giving us three titans. Number one, our most respected Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. Number two, Sardar Patel. And number three, Mahatma Gandhi. I would also like to say that, it is high time our country wakes up, especially the Hindus wake up, and they have seen the writing on the wall. The writing on the wall is this, Vinitji, that if we go on continuing like this, then sooner or later, India will not be, a Hindu majority state. Hindus' interests are being diluted, population is going down, and population of minorities are going up. This is the only country where Hindus, this is a Hindu country where Hindus belong to. Can you ever think of an example, let us say in Pakistan, that masjid is not being allowed to be built because of a Hindu temple?
Never.
Never ever. And in our country, it took Mr. Modi, moral heft and moral pressure to, build the magnificent Ram Lala temple, where all Hindus, beliefs lie, our trust lies, our faith lies. And, we also require a place of worship where it attracts Hindus not only from India, but from all over the world. All people of all faiths are welcome. But fact of the matter is this, that you see this has gone on for too long. And it took Mr. Modi, that is why I say, in the context of elections, it is very important that Mr. Modi comes for a third time with a resounding majority to set the wrong right. And I would also like to say, people, in Congress talks about constitution. Let me tell you, constitution is there to protect the, interest of the country, especially the majority Sanatani Hindus. And Baba Sahib Ambedkar provided for the constitution that, it is ironclad, but it is like a fortress. But in the fortress, the furniture can be changed. And I would like to say, the first task when Mr. Modi takes oath a third time as the Prime Minister, writing on the wall, he is going to take the oath that India, this is too much of a Western concept. Let it be called the Bharat, the land of Bharat. Right. Let India be replaced by Bharat. And also, majority interests of Hindus, should be taken into account. And in this context, Vinitji, something very important, immediately one nation, one election, because this is the only country in the world we can't afford, we are a developing country, to have elections every day. There is some election taking place. Absolutely. So, I would like to say that Mr. Modi has done something very, very historical for this country, and, centuries will remember him. I would also like to say that why there is no law, why on Indian currency, why we shouldn't have the photograph of the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, or Baba Sahib Ambedkar, or Shahid Bhagat Singh. They have been equally important to give independence to this great country.
Absolutely right. Yuvraj, let's also talk about how minorities have fared in other countries. In Arab countries, in the Middle East, 50-odd countries which have Muslims. Of course, most of the Hindus that live over there. Most of these countries, you can't even become a citizen if you're not born into the religion. If you compare that with the flexibility that minorities enjoy in India, and yet the flack that India has to take, what would you actually pinpoint, or rather zero in on as the major culprit when it comes to this misunderstanding?
First of all, I believe there's an international lobby that works day in and day out just to denigrate, reduce and debase India. As you yourself rightly pointed out, there are more than 56 Islamic nations wherein you cannot even be a citizen. And on the contrary, there's India. India, as the oldest civilization, has had an ethos of assimilation where all the persecuted minorities from all the neighboring countries come, and we have a 5-point process of giving them citizenship. The opposition led by the Dotted India Alliance has wrongfully misguided the Muslims of India against CAA, and even if it were not for CAA, we have a 5-point process from descendancy to birth to naturalization. So we have a long process of giving citizenship. And for now, since there are 56 Islamic countries, Vineet, I ask of you, tell me one Islamic country which is secular, which is democratic, or which is republic. I'm sure you know there's none. But India is secular, India is democratic, India is a republic country. And yes, for me, this is not a facile issue that you can pigeonhole into a Hindu-Muslim communal, narrow-minded debate. It is a larger, to me, it holds a larger perspective. And why people say that why only target a specific class, that is Muslims? Because the Abrahamic faith, especially the Muslims, they have the process of polygamy, multiple marriages. They believe in prostitutization, conversions, and we do have the infiltration from the neighborhood countries, and that too, especially of Muslims. So this is where they can rapidly increase their population. And on the contrary, believing that we have our Hindus, we don't convert, we don't have this infiltration from neighboring countries, we don't have the process of multiple marriage. So how can we increase our population? There's no chance in that. And last few seconds, the TFR, total fertility rate, on an average of nationally is 2.1. But for the Muslims, it is 2.36. And for the Hindus, it is 1.94. So the moment Hindus become minority in this very Hindu Rashtra, that is India or Bharat, we will sooner or later be reduced and transmogrified into a Shariat state, which is, trust me, which won't be a good scenario either for your progeny or for my kids.
All right, Mr. Nikam, there's also been a very recent talk, or rather, an environment where Ram Rajya and, its ethos have been shared, of course, by the ruling government and, of course, the majoritarian religious groups as well. Do they in any way exacerbate the concerns some of these Muslims have? And are they creating an environment for a face-off which is not necessary? Because what needs to be understood, Mr. Nigam, is that 43% increase is perhaps not even possible, is not even, cannot be even envisaged in any other country. Even Muslim countries that we have studied and we have seen, they haven't had such an increase in their own population despite being a majority of Muslims, where India has seen a 40 plus increase in Muslim population, and yet there is this feeling that the Hindus are here to dominate.
Well, Vineet, in fact, 43% increase is only possible unless and until you have a very conducive environment to grow, for the reasons as given by Yuvraj also. Polygamy, conversion, forced conversion or induced conversion is a reality. We must recognize love jihad and all this and take appropriate measures also. Every day we see, even today also, social media is full of it. Every day we see 2 or 3 instances which actually come to light, others which don't come to light. So it's very important. A land where Krishna Janmabhoomi is still under litigation, Kashi Vishwanath is still under litigation. We cannot even have our own temples. Adhai Din Ka Jhopda, that people are not demanding it should be given back to the Hindus. About a lakh of temples were destroyed. And the lack of recognition of that destruction by the Muslim community is what worries me. They think that it is there by birthright, that these places that they forcibly converted or destroyed, it was their birthright. That should not happen. Even in, it cannot be a mosque if it has been forcibly taken or converted or destroyed. You cannot do that under Islamic principles. But then there is a concept of al-taqiyya where you can put aside everything and even lie on the basis of Quran. That is what the modern view that people have started taking. And the kind of things that are taking place today. And let me tell you, 98% of the people who voted for creation of Pakistan in India stayed back in India. So we need a lot of research whether two-nation theory is gone or is still subsisting within the minority of Muslims in this country. And that is why I have said this is a very serious issue. And we need to be very, very careful. This is the time where the Muslim population, if the census is done today, would come out to be somewhere about 20%. Which in fact is a very, very serious issue. Once it becomes, Hindus become a minority, it will no longer be a secular country. Believe me, it is a worldwide trend. And your surroundings also, you've seen that the majority religions in Bangladesh and Pakistan, they have grown. The minorities are there, like Hindus and others, have been wiped out. They have been forced to come to India. That is why concept like CA had to be brought in, because India being a natural place for them to come, because Hindus are not given, asylum on the basis of religious persecution in any of the countries in the world. So this becomes a natural place. And the political parties, the amount of, appeasement that we have seen in this elections is something which is humongous and dangerous and alarming as well, where the Congress talks of inheritance tax. We all know in inheritance under the Hindu law is governed by Hindu Succession Act, but under the Muslims it is under the Sharia law, where only 1/3 property rights are given to women. So that it will ultimately be applied to Hindus under taxation laws, not under them. So this is, and the wealth redistribution. What kind of a wealth redistribution are we talking about? Everything is, they only think that the minority is their only vote bank left. Probably Hindus all vote for BJP. So that kind of a conception these opposition parties which are using in these elections. Yesterday, Akhilesh Yadav, along with Muslims, went into a temple in UP, and where Muslims spat on the temple premises, and the temple had to be cleaned by the Valmiki Samaj out there. And therefore, let us be very clear. Again, I am saying things are serious. Hindus have to awaken. The awakening has started. And we need to take appropriate measures through parliamentary laws, enact them, no appeasement,
You're quite
and the
right, sir.
constitutional
Right.
imbalances in favor of the minorities have to be corrected, and the same kind of favors have to be given to the majority. There is no majoritarianism in India. Please
Absolutely,
understand
absolutely
that.
right, sir. And Mr. Chandra, Mr. Nigam has made some pressing points. First up, he said that the two-nation theory is something that still is subsisting in certain quarters and corridors of our country within the minority community. And secondly, what about these leaders, Mehbooba Mufti and Asasuddin Owaisi, who continue to fuel this fire that the Muslim community is being persecuted in India?
You see, Viniji, you are a very sharp political mind, that this is the only country where Muslims are thriving. And I would like to accuse people like Mamata Banerjee. Today, Mamata Banerjee, I can bet my last buck that she cannot come into power. She only depends on the Muslim vote bank. The opposition parties are pandering to this Muslim vote bank. They don't care about, the future of Hindus and Hindu generations. And let me tell you, they talk about Muslim welfare. This is all, talk, bluff and bluster. The only person who has looked after the Muslim interests is our iconic Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. In his tenure, this triple talaq has been declared illegal. Our Muslim sisters, mothers, daughters were being exploited by this, triple talaq thing. Also, now a time has come where bull has to be taken by the horns, and I always say Mr. Modi is a person who not only takes the bull by the horns, he knows how to overturn it. That there's too much of appeasement has gone on. No question of any minority appeasement at the cost of majority interests. Owaisi and other people, there should be a law brought that all these people who sprout hatred against Hindus. They say that Muslims are being exploited. Muslims are thriving in India. Their population has grown. Look at what has happened to the Hindu population in Pakistan, and what kind of ethnic cleansing was being done in Kashmir till BJP came into power. So one nation, one election, uniform civil code, and one law for everybody. No question of any special status. And let me also tell you that alarm bells are ringing. If corrective steps are not taken and brought into place, then what is going to happen? This country is going to become an Islamic country. The day is not very far. So the only person who can protect the interests of Sanatani Hindus is Prime Minister Modi. He has secured the borders, and all these opposition parties. I am reminded of this India Alliance. I am reminded of a saying, Bhanumati ne kumbha joda, kahin ka eat, kahin ka roda. All these people want to remove Mr. Modi. They don't care about Hinduism. They don't care about the future of our future Hindu generations. They only want to come into power and loot this country. And they have, look at what today in the election contest I am saying. This Muvola uncle of Rahul Gandhi, Sam Pitroda, has said that people of Tamil Nadu, they are like Africans. Can you imagine? And all this, face saving that he resigned. This Gandhi family believes in what Sam Pitroda is saying. And I would like to urge the people of Tamil Nadu to vote for BJP and take revenge because of this remark. So this, ethnic cleansing, this, that, etc. All this Owaisi and company, they want, Mehbooba and Mufti included, they just want to come into power,
right, sir,
and dilute the Hindu ethos and Hindu way of thinking.
Right, and you're absolutely right, sir. And Yuvraj, the reason for this ballooning of population in the Muslim community has also been attributed to the lack of education. The more educated a particular community is, the lesser they will focus on, expanding the way the Muslim community has. Do you think that the Hindu community also has some sort of an obligation to work on this?
Vineet, there are two aspects to what you just asked. The one thing, what I believe is, there was a khichdi ongoing between Congress and the Muslim clerics, because there was a scholar, Hamid Dalwai, in late 1950s, he wrote a thesis, and he said the only thing responsible for the downfall of Muslims is the Muslim obscurantism, that is, that they have in them. They are not willing to go out of the shell. They are not willing to converse, to speak with you and me, and they are confined to the ghettos that they have been embarked with. So the ghettoization forced by the minoritism that was sine qua non of the Congress polity, that is one. And the big brother syndrome that we Hindus are emburdened with, छोटे भाई का ध्यान रखना. So it's almost 70 years. And you contrast this so-called minority, which I believe is the second largest majority of India, with Parsis, with me. I mean, I'm a Jain. I am the actual minority of India. So we guys are thriving. We guys are barely 1% of the national population. We guys pay up to 24% of the income tax. See the Parsis, for example. See the Sikhs, for example. So it is the onus is not on us, not merely on us, but on them also. They have to realize, and that is what PM Modi precisely and very crisply, and in an interview to a leading channel, commented a few days ago, that they have to introspect, they have to understand what is it that lags them behind. Why are they not doing the progress, the development that the other minorities are? Did you even see any Sikh, any Jain, any Parsi, any Buddhist cribbing कि minority खतरे में, संविधान खतरे में, हमको मार दिया जाएगा, persecution होगा? Nobody except for this second largest majority keeps on cribbing and whining. So they have to stop being a crybaby. They have to stop whining, and it is time for them to retrospect and introspect for a better prospect. Last 10 seconds. All the flagship programs of PM, whether it is Mudra Yojana, Awas Yojana, or PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, 14% of India's population, that is the Muslims, enjoy a Herculean share of around 31 to 36% in each and every flagship scheme. Then what is the reason that they are still lagging behind? It is for them to retrospect, introspect for a better prospect.
Good points there, Yuvraj. We've run out of time, and of course we've had a very profound debate, and the perspectives that have been shared are extremely insightful, and definitely this is not the last of this particular report.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.